World of Warcraft retail is not dead. Even though the subscription numbers, player participation, activity, mythic clearing is at the lowest it has ever been in World of Warcraft's history, the game's not dead. Trust me, bro. In fact, you know what? It's thriving. It's the best it has ever been. When have we seen this happen before? I wonder.
I've noticed something change over the last few weeks. The vibes. There has been a vibe shift towards Mythic.
The vibes, boys! Let's insert some Zoomer slang so it sounds more sophisticated. I was edging on my analysis before, but now the Mew God has made my thoughts clear. Oh, shut up.
Plus, it's kind of changed. It seems that people think Blizzard are finally understanding Mythic Plus. It seems that years and years of stubbornness have slowly melted away, and we are now getting what some people actually are calling the best season of Mythic Plus to date.
Oh boy. Okay, this is a fallacy. We have seen this so many times before. Okay? This has happened in, I don't know how many, honestly, countless games. This happened in New World. This has happened in Fallout 76. You name a popular game that went to shit and died and has 1% of the player base remaining because it all made all the right decisions, you're gonna get exactly this situation. People saying it's great. You know why this happens? This is the same stuff why you see a game die and suddenly all of the reviews get more positive. And then after 5 years, they all go down. Because the only people that are left talking about this game are the ones who like it. Because that's all the people who are left. The minority people with so incredibly shit tastes, it works for them. That's it. Again, this has happened with so many different games. Small community, like this happened with Diablo 4. The only people who are currently saying Diablo 4 is a good game are die-hard Blizzard fans. And no one's saying Diablo 4 is bad, well, except me, technically. And because no one cares. Everyone else has moved on and no one cares anymore. Complete apathy has decided to take place, and it's taking place hard. So, no one even cares to even talk about how bad World of Warcraft is.
But while vibes are one thing, they're just an indication that research needs to be done. So today, I'm not coming
A game is truly dead when people don't even care to shit on it.
at you with vibes. I'm coming at you with numbers and facts. We've also got to talk a bit about gearing up, because I've got a best-in-slot IRL up. This is a map of the Theater of Pain dungeon. Specifically, it's Raider.io's heat map of player deaths from last week.
Okay.
Now, you see those two big red spots? That is where the most
No, Bellior, I'm blind.
people were dying. And when they died, it was almost always to this, Dark Winds. Now take a look at this
Okay.
map. This map is from this week. And you might notice they're just a little bit different. This reset, Blizzard pushed it
Well, only one of them seemed different, but okay.
change. And in this change, they added something simple. A line. A line that shows Dark Winds' direction and width. Blizzard added that line,
Yeah, okay.
and look what happens per the heat map. The red spot is a hell of a lot less red. So, in very literal terms, Blizzard spotted a mechanic that was killing players, even players who had seen it more than once. They then put in some UI to make it easier to see and understand.
Oh, wait, it actually has a thing like this? Bro, how do you get caught on this? Wait, did you really need a line? I mean, this thing is right there. Right there. Literally right there. How do you not see it? Did you need the line? No, I get it. It's way more easier with the line, obviously. But the fact that this is not good enough on its own just means that there's too much clutter. World of Warcraft has literally become the game when there's just 7 different diarrheas always on the ground no matter where you are in the game. And it's stupid. That's why people don't like this game, because the whole game is like, oh, look at that, there's a puddle of something on the ground. Please don't go in it. Or maybe you have to go in it, who knows? Flip the dice.
And and now it seems way fewer people are dying. In a narrow sense, you could call that a nerf, but what they really did was find a point of frustration and remove that point of frustration. Now, even if you died to Dark Winds on the first platform, like everyone seems to be doing,
Yeah, just make everything easier.
you can recognize and dodge it on
I'm sure making everything easier is gonna do wonders for the game.
the second one. Blizzard didn't remove the mob from the pack. They didn't remove the knockback. They didn't make it easier. They made it fair. Obviously, that does end up.
Bro, you already had the visual indicator. What do you mean you made it fair? I mean, now you have double the visual indicators, which don't make a lot of sense. Oh, actually, there's also Deathwind's cast time. I mean, maybe pick it or something? I don't know.
Making it
Oh, you probably can't, but yes.
easier, but in a better way. It still lets you have the satisfaction of winning, or if you still die to it, you can at least clearly see why. That's a less frustrating experience, and when I say I think Blizzard finally get it, this is really what I mean. Just take a look at this list of nerfs that have happened over the past few weeks. Some of these are flat nerfs because Mythic Plus was just a bit too hard in general, but most of them are things like this Dark Winds change. Most of them are Blizzard specifically hitting points of friction and frustration by doing things like, say, increasing cast and travel times on important abilities and reducing one-shots. And the result is so obvious. We can literally see them on the heat maps. We can see how player deaths have changed. Blizzard are being really smart here. They are targeting frustration.
I'm sorry. You just showed this. What changed? There's nothing to compare. What changed? I don't know. You just showed me one picture and you said everything changed. What changed?
Blizzard are being really smart here. They are targeting frustration, but
yeah, Blizzard is constantly losing players to it fucking self. For World of Warcraft, Blizzard's being smart.
they're keeping the actual fun of Mythic Plus's challenge intact. That is the thing that they, for years, had failed at. So I'm happy to say it looks like they're beginning to succeed. The Engoodening is not just a few changes, it's all compounding stuff. So remember this season's affix changes, where there's no affixes at all until +4. So you get 2 challenging practice levels at +2 and +3 before anything more complicated shows up. Mythic Plus dungeons are also way more rewarding. More on that stuff later. Then you get 1 Xalatath affix until +7, which is where Fortified or Tyrannical comes in, and the other comes in at +10. Then, Challenger's Guile, which is the affix that added an obscenely huge penalty to deaths, well, it was moved all the way up to Mythic +12, taking the place of the old version of Guile. So basically, affixes were massively nerfed. Now, the important thing to add here is that it's not just fresh nerfs. The last part of Season 1 had huge changes that, because Season 1 was a little bit embattled, ran completely under the radar, but they do make up a huge part of why this season feels.
Oh, look at this fight. It's so great. There's just, again, a bunch of shit on the ground. Wow.
Better. One of those things is rewards. You now get better gear and more of just about everything compared to a few months ago. I mean, at the start of Season 1, failing a keystone gave you 5 crests, compared to the 12 that you'd get from timing a key. And that meant that doing a harder key was actually a dumb move. Now it's different. Now the crest amount scales up with the keystone, and failing the timer simply removes 4 crests instead of a whopping 7 crests. Plus, you actually get better crests earlier. Now you get ruined from 2s and gilded from...
Yeah, this sounds roughly like Blizzard. Make people who fail to do the game that they play get still rewards because they deserve it some magically. How? Listen, difficulty levels exist because you're supposed to understand where your limits are at. It's a simple concept, but it doesn't look like the typical World of Warcraft enjoyer currently understands that, but that's fine.
From 7s. And those are very manageable difficulties, and they land pretty much perfectly where players seem to need them. Then, of course, there's gear. If you do a Mythic Plus, even a +2, you'll get hero gear in your vault. And that means if you fully gear in Delves and you don't need champion gear, doing Mythic +2s will no longer be a complete waste of your time. Then if you do want to farm hero gear, you'll need to work your way up to a +6. But that's only one additional affix and a few levels away. It's not as much. And the whole time you progress up the levels, you're getting stacks of ruined crests, pretty much maxing out your existing champion gear. It works damn well. And then, of course, Gilded for your new hero gear, well, that's only one more affix.
Okay, so I have no idea what any of this is, obviously. But it sounds like they just made a basic progression system. I'm sorry, hasn't World of Warcraft like done this like a million? How is World of Warcraft this special in the sense that they make a progression system? New season starts, they make a new progression system. In essence, it's exactly the same as the old progression system, but somehow it's shit because they messed it up. And then expansion ends, progression system finally gets fixed. But again, expansion ends, so new progression system gets introduced and it's bad again. How does Blizzard keep on doing this? Like, did they have some kind of secret sauce here?
And level away, up at +7, when before it was at +10, which comparatively was brutal. So basically, as an overall system, it kinda just works. Gearing in Mythic Plus finally makes a good degree of sense. Now, you then combine that with the easiest, or perhaps just the least frustrating season yet, and it seems that Blizzard have kind of cracked the code here. That Mythic Plus really just needs to be two things. It needs to be rewarding, and it needs to be fair. As far as I can tell, they've got the former worked out, and they are well on their way to fixing up the latter. But again, let's not do vibes here. Let's take a look at some of the hard data to see if any of these vibes and intuitions are even right. Here's the one point that matters more than anything. Is Mythic Plus falling off? The answer is yes. And I know you might...
Yeah, obviously. I mean, how people don't like whatever the hell this version of World of Warcraft is. Well, people don't like whatever version of World of Warcraft is since Shadowlands. Well, Battle for Azeroth. Well, actually, since Draenor was a disappointment. Well, actually, what was even before Draenor? Pandaria? Yeah, people kind of like that. But it wasn't good for marketing, that much I can tell you. Our brutal kill or be killed MMORPG gets turned into fluffy pandas that repress their evil emotions because reasons. Yeah, not great.
Be thinking, what? I thought this was a positive video. Now you're back to bashing Blizzard again. Oh, you must need the ad revenue.
Damn right.
No. Look, it's actually the case that, yeah, Mythic Plus is technically falling off a little bit, but that's fine. This actually almost always happens. What we need to actually look at is how fast it is falling off, because we're moving from the launch season, right, when the expansion is new, to a mid-season, so they are fundamentally different. Now, that's when these four numbers in particular get real important. These are fall-offs of runs between weeks 1, 2, and 3 in seasons 1 and 2. And looking in, we can see that in season 1, the second...
Oh, this is the drop-off chart. Okay, so that's why. Okay, so the drop-off was arbitrary 12% of I have no idea of against what, to 2.5%. And season 1 was... Yeah, this... I mean... What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How stupid is this graph? So, the end of season 1 should be the start of season 2, which means this, you can easily just actually make this graph be like this. It goes from 15 to 12%, and then it goes down to... No, actually, is this up? Start of the season drop off. Oh. So it goes down like this, and then it goes down like this. So this 2.58% is actually the drop off from 12.64%. This is not that the drop off is smaller than 10% smaller, aka it doesn't exist. This graph represents that this number is from this, which is stupid. Damn. I mean, technically it's right, but technically it's stupid.
second week lost 13.5%, and the third lost much more, 15.6%. In Season 2, we see that the fall-off is slower. It's only 12.6%, which does look tiny, but it's actually a 6% improvement. Here's the thing. That was before the nerfs. So let's talk about the nerfs, because man, they certainly have worked. This period last season saw a 15% drop-off in players. This season, it's a minuscule 2.6%.
But no, maybe this is a one-to-one graph? Okay, it's so hard to tell. Like, this is such a stupid way to fucking do a graph. Is it this? Is it this? Because this can't be the same time period, because currently we're in Season 2, right? Season 1 should be like the start of shit, right? Season 2 should be the mid-range, midpoint, like he's saying? So, what the fuck? Is Season 2 the midpoint? Or not? Damn, this is confusing.
That is, in fact, the smallest percentage drop for a Week 3 ever in Mythic Plus, and by a substantial margin. The second smallest is 7.5%, which is over twice as big. The impact of these changes in the numbers has been absolutely wild. So Blizzard...
Also, I mean, his statements are correct, but there is no reason why these statements are more correct than the most simple the most simple premises of, well, all the non-hardcore World of Warcraft fans left, so there's not really anyone left to leave. I mean, he did not give a justification why this, why that works the way he says it does. He just says it works like that for no reason. There's no justification.
Margin. The second smallest is 7.5%, which is over twice as big. The impact of these changes in the numbers has been absolutely wild. So Blizzard making these changes, even if they're not wild sweeping nerfs, is clearly bringing people back into more Mythic Plus. And even the comparison of season totals is looking real good. So Season 2 started off with 17.4% less runs than before. But in Week 3, right? By Week 3, there's only a 11% difference from the same week in Season 1. And that means that at this rate, there will soon be more weekly runs in Season 2 than in Season 1, because the retention is fundamentally much better now.
Wait, but we don't know the retention. If you start off at a lower number and the retention is better, unless you don't expect the... I mean, what he says is real, but if it works like he says, maybe we're catching up to like somewhere around here that the retention is better, and that would mean no one is left anyway. That's not good. That's not good.
Because the retention is fundamentally much better now. The absolute numbers are looking good as well, by the way. We're looking at close to 2 million runs in Week 3. That's actually a little bit higher than the same point in Dragonflight. And remember, back in Dragonflight, there were no delves, right? Everyone who wanted gear without raiding was forced to do Mythic Plus. Delves are a massive pressure release valve for that, especially because in Season 2, delve gear is better than ever, and the delves...
Okay, so he's saying that Dragonflight, the expansion that promised you big buff burly drag... Oh, I'm sorry. Small twink gay boy dragons is less popular than Chris Metzen's Return to Form, an actual 3-part series, World of Warcraft the way it was supposed... I'm sorry, are you saying Dragonflight is a little bit worse than all of these promises? Shit, well, who would have expected? Damn, you got me, son.
Themselves are more rewarding. That's all good, but how do we know if this has got anything to do with the dungeons being easier? Well, check this out. Success rates shot up. In Week 3, 81% of keys were timed, a pretty major...
Well, yeah, and probably couldn't... You know what also probably... Okay, listen, this is just circumstantial evidence at best. We can literally currently look at America's what's it called? Measles, chickenpox? we can look at the last 3 weeks of chicken pox cases in America, and the graph is gonna also be like this and substantiate his claim. It obviously doesn't. It's just random shit. Like you can, I can find you a graph that has absolutely nothing to do with World of Warcraft that also looks like this. But you need to explain why. Why there is some kind of equivalency there. Okay? Not just say, hey, here's a graph that looks kind of on my point.
3.5% higher the first week and 6% the week after. And for what it's worth, higher success rates do tend to correlate with better seasons, more runs, and better player sentiment. Now, you may also be thinking, hang on a second, from first principles, of course the numbers are going up. We're getting better gear. There's less frustration, obviously. And yeah, good point, but there's actually more to this. So, our friend Nightstalker tracks a whole bunch of data, and his report for Icy Veins dug into success rates versus key levels. And the short version of this is that players are actually moving up to higher key levels in droves, but they're still timing more keys.
Wouldn't that just mean that the people who are good at the game are making ults because the early part of the season is finished? And that means that you need to gear out an ult? And if the person is gearing out an ult, that means that they are better at the game than the average person, which means they're going to push up the key success rate by just the virtue of having multiple characters? Yes. Exactly, by the way, what I just said, yes.
Than before. And at the time of his report last week, over a quarter of runs were at +10s. So people are playing Mythic Plus. They are finding success, less frustration, they're getting more rewards, and they're going up those higher key levels, which I would say is all around a real big win. So the data does actually confirm the vibes. This season is much, much better. And it's not even the easiest season ever. At least not yet. Because the easiest season ever was Season 3 of Dragonflight, which was also the third biggest season. Now, it doesn't seem that this season will come close to that, but it was never going to. Delves exist. They keep people who don't want to play Mythic Plus out of the Mythic Plus pool, which actually is a good thing. It's good that these numbers are lower, if they're lower because people who don't enjoy doing Mythic Plus don't have to do it anymore. So taking those players out of the picture and then having tons of players naturally falling off after the expansion, and then still having these numbers, it actually shows that Mythic Plus may be the stickiest that it's ever been. And by sticky,
maybe, again, maybe, just maybe, it's just that this expansion is a little bit more friendly to alts, so more people make alts. I don't see why that could not be the full fucking explanation to all of this.
I'm talking about retention. And in a game like World of Warcraft, retention is king. And once Blizzard see the positive reception and the
Is it though? Is it really?
Data to support it, they will know what to do next. And Plus is obviously not perfect, and Blizzard still has lots of work to do, so continually working and making life less frustrating for healers and tanks would help a hell of a lot. Then pugging is still chaos and very often a nightmare. Trying to find a key as a DPS is also still a nightmare, so solving the balance will likely have a big impact here. This season has been a huge, positive improvement already. Being a healer is a lot less stressful when people can actually see mechanics well enough to dodge them. And when
well, look at that. Do you see that? What's on the ground? Oh, something's on the ground. Better not step in it.
Blizzard have taken the difficulty spikes that felt like mistakes more than intent, and they filed them down. That's a better healing experience. Being a tank is less stressful as well. The nerf tank busters and smoother runs mean less pressure being put on you to overpull. And of course, when you're overpulling, you're more likely to make mistakes. So this is good for the...
I mean, how about stating the fact that the tank knows how to pull properly? A skill thing, not a, oh baby, did accidentally pull half the instance. You shouldn't die for that. How about that? How about that?
Quality of everyone's play. Now, one thing that could help is some form of solo queue, but then there are genuine concerns that come with group comp at the higher levels. I mean, getting dumped into a group for a +10 without a word could just feel like you're being trolled if the comp is bad. That being said, honestly, some kind of solo queue would probably help a lot for Blizzard's numbers here, because right now pugging can be an absolute misery. Which brings me to class balance. Look, it's only fair that people want to optimize their.
Okay, I'm done. Failure, 10 out of 10. World of Warcraft, it's a resurgence, boys. You heard it here first. Mythic best ever. Bye.